Hi there, Lynne. How are you today?
I'm so good. And you, Belinda?
I am excellent. Oh my goodness, it's fabulous to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today to speak a little bit about your wonderful experience and also really tackling my latest project, Crucial COVID Conversations. For those of you that's just joined, and just a quick little intro, Crucial COVID Conversations from my side was born really to make a difference during this crisis. Last year, 2020, was really hard for all of us. And it struck me that 2021 is probably going to be as hard or perhaps even harder, because now we are really kind of internalizing all these learnings and things are continuing and we still need to get, I guess, used to the new normal out there. So I'm today joined by my absolute wonderful, beautiful friend, forever. We've been friends for such a long time, and I'm not going to say a word. I won't say anything how long that has been. But Lynne, you've been such a dear friend to me and a phenomenal mentor, coach. You were my first manager when I was still doing one of my honors degrees way back. And I am absolutely convinced, and I know for sure, that I would have never in my life been where I am today if it wasn't for your guidance, leadership, support, and just friendship. So may I use this opportunity to thank you very, very much for that. And also just to say how absolutely delighted I am that you are joining me for my Crucial COVID Conversations initiative. So I'm going to, if you will allow me, just do a very short blurb and just tell everybody a little bit more about you. And you've had such an amazing, wonderful career, and you continue to do astonishing, groundbreaking stuff. And I'm so proud of you. And I'm so honored to call you my friend. So Lynne Derman is the innovative and creative founding member, I should say, of Goldfish Consulting, with offices in Cape Town. And Lindsay, by the way, is joining us from the fairest Cape of all. So thank you for that. It's nice to have somebody from South Africa joining us.
Yeah, for sure.
Lynne is a highly respected executive with global experience. Lynne has over 30 years of experience in human resources as an industry and field. Lynne, your PhD in leadership, performance, and change was conferred in 2008 by the University of Johannesburg. The topic of your thesis, organizational energy and individual well-being. Wow, that's exactly why we're talking to Lynne today. Understanding the real value of organizational climate. The main focus of your work today is in surveys, coaching, workshops, publishing your work and wonderful books, and we'll hear all about that in a bit. And also, of course, critically acclaimed public speaking. And I am so honored to be able to talk to you today. Lynne, you're speaking from Cape Town in South Africa, and I think we should maybe just mention that being in South Africa from your side, there is this wonderful thing that we call load shedding. If those of you that haven't heard about it, it is real, and it is a real struggle, especially from the perspective of working from home and things like that. So if we do lose power or we disconnect at some stage, we do apologize. We'll catch right back up, and we'll take it from there.
Yes, for
Lynne,
sure.
welcome.
Thank you. And what a wonderful concept you've had here, Belinda. I think this is amazing. And yes, I've known you for so long. And if there's something I know about you, your heart is always in the right place. And it's all people. And once again, I think you've just put your finger right on it. What is the need? What do people need? And so I'm very honored to be interviewed on your program. And I wish you every success with this. And I really hope you can reach a large amount of people and that they will find this informative, helpful, supportive, and make a difference. That's what we're all here to do, isn't it?
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for those kind words. It means a lot, and I always get emotional when I hear you say that, because at the end of the day, we are literally thinking about this in the same way. We all want to make a difference, and there are so many amazing human beings, inspiring people out there that really want to help others through this crisis. Right from the first moment I saw this "we are all in this together" hashtag, I realized that this is the most powerful thing, and I've really tried to make it my own through 2020 and really continue to build on it, because there are so many inspiring people out there, people that really want to help others, and people realizing how important partnerships, working together, health and well-being, conservation, all these beautiful concepts that we'll start unpacking over the next 12 weeks. So without further ado, we are going to start the very first topic: health and well-being, mental health and well-being, and specifically the work that you have done over a beautiful career thus far, and the stuff that you've done in terms of burnout. We're going to talk about that a bit more, a lot more actually, and I'm so excited to have the opportunity to talk to you about that. So Lynne, without further ado, maybe you can take a moment and tell all of us, who you are and what really motivates you to get out of bed every morning amidst this global pandemic.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's the people, Belinda. It's always the people. You have to get out of bed. You hear people saying, I'm looking for my purpose, but actually all of us, our purpose is other people. If the minute you start focusing on what you can do for others, then life just takes on a whole different meaning, and there's so much to do there. You just bounce out of bed and you've got to get to it, and you've got to get there. And, with this COVID pandemic that's worldwide, every morning, that's the first thing I need to do is contact all the employees for one of my clients that have been reported that morning either ill or have lost, a member of their family. And, you just really have to be a real human being in this time. And when you talk about, the global, we talk about global warming, we talk about this, we talk about that, but a lot of it is lip service. And I think it really comes straight into our faces now, 2020, of what are we actually doing, not just what are we thinking.
Yeah, exactly. And people, isn't that always the most important thing? But I think a learning for all of us, and I know I'm going to ask you next what your learnings was from last year, but just on what you've said, looking back where humanity was and how I think we kind of lost how important people and connections and partnerships is. And this has really made us rethink and realign those people connections. So spot on. What did you learn from last year? What did you learn from 2020? And looking back at this, as us living through a pandemic, literally, what have you learned? And what are those learnings that you want to share with us?
Well, I'd say my first reaction was, yay, 3 weeks holiday, we can rest. But because we locked down for 3 weeks initially.
Yeah.
But you know what, actually, Belinda, that's also an important point. We need to rest. It was good.
Yep.
And not be on this hectic schedule that we're always on, work and catching a plane and going here and going there and back and then ready for the next one. And, so that was actually awesome. But then, of course, the lockdown got longer, and I thought, I would really like to come out of lockdown as a better person, or to have achieved one or two long-term goals. All those things you say, one day I would like to. So that's why I sat down and I actually published this book that was so long overdue, Burnout. I actually did that during lockdown.
What an incredible story. You see, there's two camps here. There was the people that actually did something really astonishing during lockdown, and then there's the ones like us that thought, might as well, we'll embrace the rest. And you know what? Either way, it's okay. It is absolutely okay.
I think you have to do both, to put yourself. So you know what, Belinda, that sort of comes to like a point for me. We can work because we love work. Provided you love your work. We can work, and we should work, and we should love our work. But when we work to the point that we don't get rest, when we work that it's insane.
Yeah, that's when the problem starts happening, right?
that's when the problems start. That's when the problems, and it's where we have got to. Our work environments have become just hideous. Is probably the best word I can think of to describe
spot on.
it.
Even if we love our work and we're passionate about it, which by the way is one of our other topics, to really talking about living out your passion.
Yes.
So even if we do, we still have to take risks, right? Otherwise,
guess
where we go.
Rest.
We get to burnout, which is exactly what we'll be talking about.
That's exactly it. We do get burnt out, and it's ridiculous because you would never ever drive your car without taking it in for maintenance. You wouldn't. You just wouldn't. Even the house, you have to have it painted and spring clean. Yeah, we do it for everything else, the lawnmower, but we don't do it for ourselves. We really.
Why? Why is it that we forget we are the most important people in our lives? We have to look. Why is it that we forget that?
I think a lot of pressure comes from society, but we do it so early in our lives, and then we run ourselves on that program. It's us. We want to be seen as hardworking and successful and not lazy. The word lazy, if somebody applied that to us, it's like that would be really a bad label.
Big no. Yeah.
Yeah. So we start really pushing the boundaries. Actually, and it's quite interesting if you look at it, we push it to the point of inefficiency. So we're putting in all these hours and all this hard work, but because we are tired, the standard of the work is dropping, and we got to go back and fix mistakes, and we go back and it's actually not productive.
Yeah. And that it becomes counterproductive, exactly, because we lose ultimately what we want to achieve. We lose it before we even start, because it's that saying of you can't continue to pour from an empty cup, and it keeps on popping back up, and it's becoming more important again. People are, oh yeah, wait, there is a point here, how do we rewind, and how do we rewire, and how do we take that time to protect ourselves from things like burnout and all these negative things that we've seen really came to a astonishing forefront last year, and it will be continuing to be really important this year as well. Lynne, that's excellent learnings. Before we unpack your book further, and I want to hear all about it, because that was such a beautiful, inspiring journey that you've gone through, and the learnings are phenomenal. What do you look forward to now? Hindsight's 2020. What do you look forward to now, given what we've gone through? What do you think is going to be helpful for us to remember this year?
I think just the benefits to the planet of our lack of pollution or reduction in pollution. Just not traveling so much, It's really to be home. I think at the moment in lockdown here in South Africa, we're not allowed to go on the beaches, and realizing how important nature is to us. So it's okay if we're in lockdown and we're not allowed to do a whole lot of things, but not to be able to go to the beach, to be in nature, just underscore that. So I look forward to, and now we work like this, Belinda. I mean, and yes, the internet, it crashes. We lose signal, and people are
working to work for it.
And people are working from home, and you see that cat come past, and you see the kids dive bombing, and so you say, in the past, you're in a formal meeting, we do not even acknowledge that we have children. Now the kids.
Heaven forbid, talk about a cat. Oh no, I'm a dog person. No cats allowed.
Well, your dog can be there, and my cat can be here, and there'll be no fights. So you see that.
It's beneficial.
Yeah. And I think this has been good for us. I think we have learned that we don't need to be so uptight, that managing people isn't about policing.
Yes, I was reading an interesting article about that the other day. People were saying, how do you now manage this? And leaders need to just take a step back and think about this differently. The same measurements and tools that we've used to do this before, it's just not going to be the same.
It's not good. Some of them are not going to work because we're very used to looking over people's shoulders. And now I know, you know, people will say, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going, and then I'll work and I'll work at night. And
Yeah,
really,
exactly.
why did they not perhaps in a job where they are needed at certain hours?
Yeah.
The work is, and if they are happier and relaxed and they spend quality time with their children, isn't
It's a win-win.
society, yeah, the beneficiary, and therefore the company.
Exactly. People are happier, more
so
productive, and it's a more balanced, holistic approach, isn't it?
It is more balanced. It looks far healthier to me.
Yeah.
It really.
Ooh, exciting.
I think people with little children and they've got school-going kids and the animals and the both parents are working. You've got to work it out. You've got to work out, you know, how do you do this? It can also be total chaos, and some people are just so happy to run away and go to the office. And we've had cases of people at the universities asking us, please, can I just get a key to a lecture room so that I can study? You know, yes, but I think in general, and for me personally, just want to have a less chaotic life. Just, you know, to work in a nice, comfortable environment at a good, decent pace, that I'm productive, that I can bring my best. And learning to have relationships and continuing relationships like we are now. Just this is okay.
Exactly. Okay. And it's not just okay, it has to happen, because if we forget this, you know, that's when loneliness and you know, the COVID blues and all these, you know, very negative terms comes to mind, where people kind of just fully embrace the hibernation and not make that effort. Sure, it takes a bit more effort, but we have to do it, because we have to. We are human beings. We are emotional, social beings. We need that connection. We need to have that interaction.
Yeah, you're quite right about that. And maybe it does require more effort, because if we go to work, well, we have all these people that are just, you know, they are there and we have to deal with them. But now you've got to make the effort to actually reach out.
Exactly. And it's not easy for many people. And later on, I'm also speaking to people that is going to help us understand depression and, you know, different personality types during this isolation and stuff like that a bit more, which would be really interesting, because, you know, it's not easy for everybody. You know, for us, maybe this is, we're okay. And you know, we love reaching out like this. But for those people that had these specific pathways that they were kind of forced to interact with people, and it was good because it wasn't somebody else's turn. Now suddenly for them to take this initiative and you know, crawl out of the little shell, it becomes difficult, and people's boundaries are pushed, and that brings a lot of tension and a lot of serious health and psychological issues with as well, which is going to be really interesting. Okay, well, I guess we do have to move on a little bit, because I know you and I can talk for hours, so we can absolutely
we just go on that topic next.
You know, and we can solve the world's problems 1,000 times over. But to get back to really the crux of what I wanted to talk to you about is, this week, as I've mentioned, we are unpacking mental health and wellness. And I'm particularly interested, actually, I am so excited to hear more about your inspiring take on burnout. Lynne, your book, Back from Burnout, is a personal account, a personal journey through your recovery and learning about these things firsthand and actually putting into text to help other people. Tell me all about it. It is such a relevant topic, as we know, because for many people during this lockdown and working from home wasn't the rest and relaxation, but it pushed people to the other side, where they were completely working all the time. It was hard to switch off, etc. All these stressors that really has made 2020 so hard, and will continue to have an influence on 2021. Your topic on burnout and how do we deal with it, and all the symptoms and what do we look out for, is so relevant. So tell me this wonderful journey that you've been on. Share with me and tell us what we need to know and what we need to learn, and how do we tackle this?
Yeah, you know, I wrote my personal experience because when I was first diagnosed with it, I didn't know that the medical world believes you cannot recover from it. And it generally gets treated through medication. sometimes hospitalization. But luckily, I didn't know all of those things. So ignorance is sometimes a good thing. And,
Isn't that true?
and so I did what I do kind of naturally. I just withdrew a little bit, and then I went looking for some help. So when I got the diagnosis of burnout, I thought, well, that is interesting. And, you know, it's like the minute you decide to buy VW Golf, then you just see VW Golfs on the highway everywhere you go, you know. So I started becoming aware that so many people use the word burnout, and they use it loosely. Maybe they're talking about exhaustion. Maybe they, you know, so what is burnout? And I think what's fantastic, and part of the reason that I wrote this book is, number one, if you can identify the symptoms or the warning signs, please deal with it before you burn out.
Tell us what they are. Oh, you have to tell us. Yeah, I want to know. People want to know. I'm sure everybody's like, okay, I wish you're going to tell us.
And then what I'm going to share with you is that there are alternative modalities, and that's how I healed and recovered, that I work 100% back in my business for the last 6 years. And so it is possible to recover. And I just thought, you know what, I have to share. Maybe if it helps one person, it's worth my time to sit and write this up. So that's what
is that?
What is burnout? Yeah. So what is burnout? Now, it usually happens to high achievers, you know, those people who just, we got to work and don't be lazy, and, you know, you're always beating yourself up. And very often it's people that are passionate. Now, passion is fantastic. I love it when I have that feeling of, oh, just got to get to a keyboard and write it. I just love. But it does have the downside that when you look again, it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And you haven't taken the necessary care of yourself. So those things do happen. So burnout, the definition of burnout, it's a chronic state of stress that leads to physical and emotional exhaustion. So you're physically and emotionally exhausted. The physical exhaustion we understand quite well, just go jog around the block. For me, a few Ks for Belinda. And we're tired. We understand that. But emotional exhaustion is something that we are not often that tuned into. What is emotional exhaustion?
Exactly.
When you get another message of another person that's got COVID, you know that feeling? And you're just like, oh, I can't just deal with this. This is too much. Can it just stop? Can I just day? Where do you put in a leave form from this thing? That's emotional exhaustion. And what comes out of that is quite a bit of cynicism. You get cynical about the world. You know, no one appreciates what I'm doing. I'm working so hard, and yet they ask me to do more. And one sign, if you manage people, watch out for people becoming detached. They no longer bring passion into their work because they're not coping. And the weirdest thing is that they are high achievers and passionate, and they start feeling inactive. Yeah. And they don't feel as if they have accomplished anything. I mean, this is so terribly sad.
Yeah, it's really sad. Yeah.
So that is what
interesting
is. But you know something which is fantastic, it doesn't happen suddenly to you. You don't wake up, you know, you don't just catch a virus or get the German measles. It's far more insidious. It creeps up on us. It takes time. And then it becomes harder for us to recognize, because
I was just going to say, it must be harder then, because it just creeps up on you. And before you know it, maybe when you realize it, it's probably already so far advanced, right?
Yeah, that is the thing. So you've got to become a little bit aware of some of the symptoms. Shall I talk about those symptoms a bit?
Yes, absolutely. I want to know. I mean, I want to know.
So the first thing is chronic fatigue. So chronic fatigue is you just don't have the energy, and you just feel so tired all the time. Physically, and I mentioned emotionally earlier, you just feel drained and depleted, and you almost dread the fact that, oh, there's another day coming up, you know, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And then absolutely bizarre, because while you're so exhausted, there's insomnia. You can't fall asleep. Or you can't stay awake.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Okay. So if that happens more than 1 or 2 nights a week, there's a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Insomnia
Yeah.
is really something that one has to keep an eye on. Sleeping problems, that is a very big telltale sign that you are heading for problems, because our sleep routines and our patterns of sleeping are so important for our mental health. Now, this is about mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So your brain goes into different hertz of vibration where it slows down, and there is a time in the delta, in the theta vibration, where you actually do healing. And then we go into delta as we fall asleep. So if we don't go into that, that funny little sleepy kind of a feeling, we don't go into that, we actually miss out on the healing part. So this
critical.
Big warning sign. And then, of course, fatigue and insomnia, you won't be surprised that you forget everything. You can't concentrate, you can't pay attention. And it's very annoying. I have no patience with myself if I can't remember where I put the car keys. But it really becomes a problem, and you are maybe busy or talking to a friend, and you suddenly realize, I have no idea what happened in the last 5 minutes.
Wow.
You just
scary actually as well.
Yeah. And then physically, people can have things like heart palpitations, dizziness, giddiness, that's what I am, but dizziness, feeling faint, headaches, of course, are very, very common. But even gastrointestinal pains and things like that. And of course, it's very difficult if those are your only symptoms. I should say that linked with 1 or 2 of the others, then you should ask yourself what's going on.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Interesting.
Yeah, wow. They say loss of appetite is one of those, but let me tell you, I gained appetite. I gained an immense amount. I ate my problems away.
Well, you at least tried to, right?
I tried to. I think that's a personality thing, whether you would lose weight or gain weight.
Because that's such a personal thing as well. How you react to that extreme stressors, and do you, and that's part of who you are. Your frame of reference and how you react to that type of stress, right? Yeah, interesting.
Quite right. And some of us comfort eat, which I do. So for me, it was a massive weight gain. And of course, anxiety. And of course, if you're in burnout, it's because it's all become overwhelming. And then you're like, oh no, it's just all too much. I can't do this. I'm not productive. Goes into depression. And then there's that happens, which is just natural if you think about it. All of that interpersonal tension results in irritability and anger, and there can be outbursts and serious arguments.
And that's when it starts spilling over to the people around you. Relationships are being affected, and it's just a circle, right? It just keeps on building momentum as it rolls down the hill.
Exactly. So yes, it's not something that you want to actually experience.